Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this very exciting webinar called Creating a Digital Archive with Permanent.org. I'm Maureen Taylor, the photo detective, and I'm joined today by Amberly Russell, the Preservation Services Manager for the Permanent Legacy Foundation, and Kaitlyn Jarnagin, the Member Success Manager. She's your point person. So I'm going to step away and these ladies are going to take over. I can't wait to hear what they have to say. All right, Amberly, jump in.
All right. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you for having us. I was able to be on Maureen's podcast not that long ago, a few weeks ago. It's episode 161, if you want to go check that out. And I was able to just introduce Permanent, what we stand for, what we believe. Permanent Legacy Foundation is a place where you can create, curate, and collaborate on living archives online for your family or organizations. And we are a mission-driven 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to digital cultural heritage. That is a mouthful. And we welcome you to go and check us out at permanent.org. You can follow us on all of our social media to find out more about us. I really encourage you as a companion to this webinar to go check out episode 161 of the Photo Detective podcast, because you'll get a really, really good idea about our values that we have at Permanent, because I spoke at length about that on that podcast. And because Kaitlyn, our member success manager, is going to walk you through our site, I'm going to save time with all of that and really encourage you to go check out that podcast. Check us out at permanent.org, and really will help you to understand our values and what we believe. So you can contact us by going to thank you. You can contact us by going to check out Kaitlyn's work. She can be contacted at support@permanent.org. I can be contacted at amberly@permanent.org. If you want to know more about my job, Preservation Services, I just rolled out our webpage. I've been building a fee for service within Permanent for the last 7 months, and we're just rolling out these services where I can help you to digitize, organize, and upload your digital assets to the cloud at permanent.org. And you can go to permanent.org/preservation-services to see more about how I can help you to preserve your family history online. So without further ado, I am going to pass the mic off to Kaitlyn, our member success manager, and just want to say thank you once again for joining us on this webinar.
Thank you so much, Amberly. And yeah, thank you so much, Maureen, for inviting us to be here and for all of you to be here today. This is my first opportunity to get to speak with Maureen and with y'all. And so I'm really excited to get to share how to get started with Permanent. And so our goal for today, since we only have 30 minutes, is for me to just give you kind of an overview and a walkthrough of what getting your first account set up and your first archive set up, so that if you haven't already signed up with Permanent, you know how to get started when you choose to do so. But first, before we kind of dive into that, I wanted to give you a couple of examples of what you can do with Permanent. So like Amberly said, Permanent is a digital online platform for you to create archives of your most cherished memories and photos and files that mean the most to you. And you can also collaborate with other people like your family and friends to build those archives and share them with your family and friends as well. And so the first example that I wanted to show you is actually my personal family archive. When I got started at Permanent, I wanted to create an archive that my family and I could work on privately together to share all of our family photos from when I was a kid. We, previous to Permanent, had been saving all of our photos on various hard drives. And every time I wanted to get, a baby photo or something.
Oh, did Kaitlyn freeze?
Oh, no.
There you go. Keep going.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. I'm going to step back a little bit in case I froze for too long. I don't know how much.
Oh, you didn't. Just keep going. You did great.
Okay.
It was just a second.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So yeah, I wanted to create this archive so that our family could collaborate on this, on pulling all of our pictures together and ensuring that they were preserved long term. And so I wanted to do this privately in my archive. So you can see in my workspace here, which I will walk through everything later. I've got a whole bunch of different folders of our family pictures. And I'm able to, with the help of my family, add, descriptions and tags of people to identify different people in the photo or help us find it later. And so some of our members choose to take a more private approach to organizing and preserving their photos, but other members wish to share them a little bit more publicly in what's called our public archive. We recently, on our homepage, just launched what we call the public gallery, where we are showcasing some of the public archives that our members have created to share with the world. And so if you are new to Permanent, I highly suggest coming over here to the Permanent gallery and taking a look at what some of our members have created to kind of give you an idea of where you can even get started with Permanent. But for today, I'm going to show you one of my favorite of the archives that we featured, which is the Soapbox Derby archive. One of our members had a whole bunch of old photos from when both he and his father attended different Soapbox Derby events. And he wanted to create a public archive to kind of share those photos to see if anybody, found themselves who attended that event or finds their grandfather or whatever. And also to just give people the opportunity who attended these events to kind of reminisce on them and, get something fun out of it. And so I think one of the, the more interesting parts of Permanent is having this public archive available for anybody to view your material that you wish to share. So now to kind of get started into Permanent, if you haven't already created an account, like Amberly said before, if you go to permanent.org/photodetective, we actually have a promo for the Photo Detective community. If you click this button to claim, you can claim 3 gigabytes of storage to start out with your account on Permanent. And so if you click this button, you'll be able to create an account, fill out your credentials, and sign up for your Permanent account. Once you've done that, you'll land in your account in the first archive that was created for you. This archive is generally named after whatever you put down as your name. So for instance, this archive is the Kaitlyn Jarnagin archive. And I wanted to kind of, now that we've landed in Permanent for the first time, take a minute to draw a distinction between a Permanent account and Permanent archives. So your Permanent account is your account that manages all of the different archives that you have within Permanent. So you could have the opportunity to collaborate on different people's archives, and all of that is managed through your account. And so when you first land in Permanent, over here on the right side corner, you'll see your email address that you signed up for Permanent with. And this is your account menu. This is where you can find information that's specific to your account, such as how much storage you have. You can always add storage in this menu as well, but you can also manage the different archives that you have and even create new archives. One of the great things about Permanent is that you can create as many archives as you need to organize and describe and share the material that is most important to you. So like I said, when you first create an account, and a new archive is created for you automatically. That's your name. But maybe that's not where you want to start with permanent. Maybe you want to create an archive about, your grandmother, or an archive to document all of the genealogical research that you've done about your father's side of the family. So if the first archive that's here doesn't quite fit the project that you have in mind, you can come over to that archive, or to the account menu over here, click archives, and create a new archive. And here you can name that archive. So you can name it like your grandmother's name, or your family name. Like I could create the Jarnagin family archive. And then you want to select the archive type. And the archive type is basically a designation of what the archive is going to be about. So if it's a person, you would choose the person archive type. If it's more about your family, or we kind of use the term family a little bit loosely to include any group of people. So say you had like a club or something like that you wanted to create an archive for, you could designate it as a family archive. And then the third archive type is the organization archive type, which is a little bit more structured in that most organization archives are about organizations that may have like a legal name or something like that, such as a museum or an archive or a historical society or something like that. So once you've entered your archive name and selected the archive type, you'll be able to create a new account, or create a new archive, pardon. And once you've done that, you will land in your new archive. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to an archive that has a little bit more files and such going on with it, so that we have a little bit more to work with as I kind of walk you through the second part of that, which is the actual archive that you land in. So you can find out what archive you're currently working in by looking at the left side of the screen over here. So right now I'm working in the Pennington Family Archive. It'll normally have a picture over here on the left side that you can choose later. It also, to start out, generally has the initials that of the archive that you're working in. And you've got a couple of different settings here underneath the archive name. But the most important part over on the left side is the different workspaces that you have to work in permanent. And so our approach to permanent is that we want to give you as much control as possible over how you want to share your material. If you want to keep it very private, or if you want to be able to share it with the world. And so the workspaces help you do that. You can kind of think of the workspaces like different drives. So I'll kind of go through them one by one. My files, or the private workspace, is where you can store all of your material that you wish to keep privately. Anything in this workspace is going to be completely private by default. And you can kind of open that door a little bit more by sharing individual files with other permanent members, or adding people to the archive to be able to see everything. But everything in your My Files workspace is private by default. The second workspace, we'll click here, is shares. So like I just mentioned, you have the ability to share individual files and folders with other permanent accounts and other permanent archives. So whenever somebody shares something with you, it'll show up here in the shares workspace. So for instance, I've got a picture here that I've shared from another archive. The third workspace is the public workspace. And this is where you can save all of the files that you have that you wish to include in your public archive. And anything in your public archive is public by default. So it's going to automatically show up in that public archive, like we saw with the Soapbox Derby archive. And that way you can share your material, you can give people the link to the material, and they don't have to have a permanent account in order to be able to see that material. And so the last workspace is our apps workspace. Most notably in our apps workspace, we have a integration with Family Search, where you can sign into your Family Search account and use the integration to create archives from your Family Search tree. And you can import any of the memories that you have associated with people in your tree into the archives that you created. I don't have as much. I know there were a couple of questions about family search, and I don't have enough time to really dive into this integration. But we do have a knowledge base article on how to get started with this integration. And you're always free to email me at support, and I can set up a call with you and help you get started with that if that's interesting to you. So once you've created your first archive, obviously you want to start putting material in it. You're able to upload and organize material fairly similarly to how you would upload and organize or how you would organize material in your computer or another sort of storage service. So over here on the right side, there's an upload button where you can choose different files from your computer. I don't know if that window showed up, but if you click that upload button, a window pops up. You can choose files that you have on your computer. You can also drag and drop files from your computer into your workspace if you want to upload your materials in bulk. And once you've gotten any of the files that you want into permanent, you can also organize them into different folders by clicking on the new folder button here. Once you've got some files in your workspace, you can highlight it by clicking on it. And that actually gives you a new menu up here where you have a couple of other actions that you can take for the file, such as being able to delete them, copy or move them to different parts of both this workspace and other workspaces. The other important thing when you click your file is that you've got metadata over here on the right side. So permanent tries to include and use any of the metadata that already comes embedded in your file when you upload it to permanent. So if you've already got, a name, or even if the date is set, permanent tries to use that and put it into the correct metadata field. There's also other metadata fields that are useful and helpful for you to both describe your material, but also help you find it later. You can add descriptions, you can add different tags to help you search for things later, and you can even set different locations. And so that's kind of a little bit about the different kinds of metadata that you can use on permanent. The last thing that I wanted to touch on with getting started with permanent is being able to collaborate and share, collaborate on building your archive and also share material in your archive. So like I said before, we want to make sure that you have as much control as possible over how you want your materials to be shared. So there are kind of 3 different ways that you can collaborate and share on permanent. And I'll start with the one that is the most restrictive and then go to the one that is most open. So the first way that you can share material on permanent is by sharing it with another permanent member. So once you've clicked on a file, you can come up here to the share button and search by somebody's email or their archive name. If they don't already have an account on permanent, it will ask them to create an account. It'll send them an email so that you can share that, a particular file or folder with them. That can be most helpful if, maybe there's just 1 or 2 photos that you want to share with somebody, but you don't want to share your entire account or your entire archive with them. The second way that you can share and collaborate is by adding members to your archive. An archive member will have access to the entire archive, and depending on what access level you give them, they'll also have different abilities or different abilities to do actions on the files and folders within your archive. So to add somebody as a member, you come over here to the left side of the screen where you've got your archive information, and click that drop down and click Archive Members. And here you can see anybody who's already a member of your archive. You can see any pending members that you've invited who haven't accepted your invitation. And then you can also add members. You can add them by their email address. And if they don't already have a permanent account, it will send them an email inviting them to join permanent for free and join your archive. You can also set their different viewer level, or different access level. So there's anything between a viewer who has the ability to look and download anything in your archive, but can't edit metadata, they can't move files around or anything like that, all the way to somebody who would be able to delete, add, edit metadata and stuff, and things like that. So you have complete control over how the members that you have in your archive are able to interact with your archive. And so that final way to be able to share your material on Permanent is to create a public archive, like I showed you at the beginning of this. So anything in your public workspace here automatically goes into your public archive. So if you want to publish material to your public archive, you can come to your My Files workspace and click the Publish button, and that will automatically create a copy of that file in your public workspace. So if we come back over here, you can see that that picture is now there. You can also upload things directly to your public workspace if you'd rather kind of bypass that initial step, and it will automatically be added to your public archive as well. So if we go over here to the public archive for this archive, and I hit refresh since I just published it, you'll see that I've got those 2 photos that are in my public workspace available in the public archive. But none of the other photos that I have are there because they're in my private workspace. So we're getting close to time. So I'm going to hand it back over to Amberly to kind of wrap us up. But I really appreciated getting the opportunity to kind of give you a walkthrough of how to get started with Permanent. And I'm very excited to be able to continue to answer your questions and talk with you if you have any questions or issues. So thank you so much, Maureen.
Thank you, Kaitlyn. We are answering questions in the Ask a Question at the bottom of your screen and also in the chat. We did have one question I wanted to get to before we switch back to Amberly, which
Absolutely.
is, do people you want to share private material with have to have their own permanent.org accounts?
They do have to have their own Permanent account. Yes.
Okay. All right, Amberly, we'll get to other questions. I don't know if you can see the Ask a Question box that I've been answering questions in as well as Amberly and Kaitlyn, but hopefully not.
Yes. Thank you so much. We got so many questions. I love that. And a couple of the links that we posted are over in the chat, like how you can download our mobile app, which is in beta right now and in constant development. Likewise, our site is in constant development. We are a smaller team. We are small and mighty, I like to say. So just because you don't see a feature right now doesn't mean it isn't on our list with our brilliant engineers to be improved upon. And we love feedback on things like you want to see us doing, because anytime you tell us there's a feature that you would like to see and you email Kaitlyn at support@permanent.org, then that kind of bumps that up on the list for our engineers in priority. So we really love to hear from you about any kind of things that you are hoping to see us do in the future. And we really encourage you to go to permanent.org and sign up. Like we mentioned at the start of this webinar, you get 3 free gigabytes. We usually only give people 1 gigabyte to start, which is really cool. We give everybody 1 gigabyte to start. But if you go to permanent.org/PD, then you can claim that 3 gigabytes. And that's the only way you can claim it. You can't just go to our site and sign up and get that 3 gigabytes. You have to go to permanent.org/PD to do that. Once again, please go check out Preservation Services. It's my baby. I've been building it for for many months now. It's permanent.org/preservation-services. And we would love to hear from you. You can contact me or Kaitlyn anytime.
All right, great. Kaitlyn, I guess let's stop the share.
Yeah, let me do that real fast.
And we'll go to questions. We got you just at the right moment, Amberly. There were some questions. A couple of people had signed up before they knew about the 3 gigabyte offer. So Kaitlyn, unfortunately, I told them to contact you
No, that's perfect. Yeah.
I can fix that. Just a couple of people. Can you post videos?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
We like to say if it has bytes, we'll take it. You can upload any kind of file type that you want to permanent. We do support certain file types for playback on permanent, but no matter what, your original is stored, and you have the ability to download it and be able to view it in whatever application you have on your computer if it's not available to preview in permanent.
Somebody asked a question about in what state is the corporation incorporated?
Texas.
Texas. Okay, Texas. Does metadata have to pre-exist on a photo before importing to permanent, or can metadata be added within permanent?
You are absolutely able to add and edit metadata in permanent. We try to take what's already there, but sometimes, especially with all the photos that I digitized for my family, it was giving the digitization date. So I'm going back and changing those dates to the proper dates that they were actually taken.
This is probably a really complicated question, but what's the difference between permanent and Google Photos?
I think the biggest difference is that we're a digital cultural heritage institute dedicated to that solely. Also, we're a smaller team. When you go to our online chat option to Kaitlyn, see, she's a real life person, like she's not a bot. So if you hit our success chat on our website, then you get to talk to an actual person. Another thing is that we have a dedicated love for helping people with their family history. I think those are the big differences.
Yeah. And we are definitely digital preservation focused as well. And so when you upload materials into permanent, we try to migrate them or migrate a copy of them to a preservation format so that you don't have to worry about, like, in 20 years, if JPEGs are no longer a thing for photos, we're able to migrate that to an openable file for the future.
Somebody wanted to know if you're affiliated with the LDS. No, but
No,
you do
we
work
have
with Family Search.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do have a partnership with Family Search.
but we're separate.
So I want to create a personal family archive, but then I have all of these photographs from an organization where they scan them all for me to do something with, to make them publicly available. So I could create a personal archive, but then create an organizational archive under my email address, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
You can create multiple archives with one account.
Great. Well, just this one I worry about. It's sitting on a portable hard drive and in Dropbox. It needs to go somewhere else.
We say back up 3 places.
Back up 3 places, and that's what I do. So we have a few more questions. I think we're up to 34 questions. So let me just scroll down and see what we have that maybe we didn't answer.
Can I jump in real quick?
Of course.
I just wanted to say that we are happy collaborators with the wonderful people at Family Search. Just wanted to throw that out there. Our executive director is on here, and he is amazing. His name is Robert Friedman, and he's built a really close relationship with them over the years. So,
someone wants to know what happens to your account when you die.
Yeah. So, yeah, right now, you always have the ability to add people as members to your archive. And so we always recommend for people to add somebody that they trust to their archive so that they can have access to it in the future. Part of our mission and manifesto down the road is to have kind of rules set up where you can designate what you want to happen to your archive when you're no longer here.
Great. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and I want to thank Amberly and Kaitlyn for this amazing presentation. All of you will be, and it's a one-time payment, by the way, $10, 1 gig. This will have a replay. It takes about 30 minutes to process, so if you want to watch it again, you can. I will be moving it off this platform and to my YouTube channel shortly. Also, at about 4 o'clock, you will be getting an email from me. All of you that registered through Crowdcast, it will reiterate that you can get the 3 gigabyte, and I have a special offer for you. And if you would like to stay on my newsletter list, you don't have to do anything, but if you would prefer not to be on a newsletter list, then unsubscribe. Otherwise, I will move you over. So sorry, it's just easier that way. Anyway, thank you so much. This has been really fun. And we've gotten a lot of, can you download from Ancestry? No, not yet, right?
No.
No. Wouldn't we all love that? One-time donation. Yes, Robert. One-time donation, not an annual fee. All right. So, ladies, I think we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. When you have more things that you're working on, let's come back and do it again.
I'd love to.
Absolutely.
I love anything related to you. So yes, anytime you ask, I will say yes.
Yeah, well, we're mutual admirers.
Yes.
Thank you very much. This is a hard stop, so when I hit end broadcast, I won't see you anymore, but I'll email you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everybody.
much.